Okay, hey everybody, Dawn Zoldi here, having a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm coming to you live from Anchorage, Alaska, actually, and we are on the Dawn of Drones. We are continuing this month dedicated to program success, and we have a really cool company with us here today, and the individual who started it, Trent Casi, coming to us live from Denver, Colorado. So we're both in different mountain ranges right now. What could possibly go wrong? And he is the founder and creator of Cleartopia. So, welcome to the show, Trent.
Thank you very much. Yeah, very excited to be on the show. So, Dawn, love your passion. You've been doing this for a while, and it's an honor to be on the show. So, thank you for having me.
Well, Trent is a fellow Coloradan. When we met almost right when I think I created my own business, P3 Tech Consulting, and kept in touch ever since. And I've been watching his progression. And Trent, one of the things you did recently is kind of rebranded. So tell us a little bit about the name Cleartopia and how this company has evolved a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, we had a little bit of a minor conflict here in the Denver region. We decided just to change the name. There was somebody with a potentially similar name, so we decided, hey, let's keep it separate for both different organizations. So we rebranded as Cleartopia. I'm a person that get up in the morning, you see clear weather, clear skies, and it kind of makes me feel optimistic, especially with mapping data. You have great weather data, a weather day that you have clear weather. So for me, the topia, mean Greek. In Greek, it means landscape. So, Cleartopia we came up with, and that's what we're sticking with. So we've recently done a kind of a soft rebrand. The website, we switching over soon. If you go to the website now, it does have all the Cleartopia logos and everything else. So we'll be in the next couple of weeks fully rebranding. So.
Yeah, it's always a process, isn't it, Trent, when you have a business? And I know this is a relatively new business. We're going to talk a lot about that. But before we do, tell us a little bit about your own background because it's really interesting.
Sure, absolutely. I grew up actually about 50 miles west of Pittsburgh, in the train derailment city of the world these days, East Palestine, Ohio. It's right on the Pennsylvania-Ohio border. So I lived in Washington, D.C. after my studies at Penn State. I had a background in remote sensing, a little bit of soil science as well, and then spent some time in Denver, spent some time in Chicago, San Diego, back around Denver, and really focused, on the geospatial technology. My 20-year background in hardware, software, data, and really, what really, for me, satisfying work is seeing the customers successful with the solutions that we provide. So I'm really passionate about the data, the solutions, seeing the customers very excited about the data and the analytics coming out of the solutions that we provide. So, my background as well, I have 5 and 7-year-olds, so pretty busy all the time. Two boys. They're actually here today. They have.
I know they're running around, so I know inevitably we're going to hear them in the background. So good thing you told us.
Good. So work hard, play hard, do a lot of skiing, snowboarding, mountain biking. Pretty much around the fitness and keeping the health on an even keel as well too. So we're all busy and everything else, and passionate about Colorado. It's a great spot for geospatial business. We call it Geospatial Alley, all the way from the Springs all the way up to Fort Collins, between some of the oil and gas work, the tech, and government employees here as well. So it's a great spot to really focus on the UAS and geospatial worlds as well.
And you also have an incredible dog who's a lab mix named Bear. And I see Bear all over LinkedIn. You take him with you all the time.
Yeah, he's a rescue that he was found in Houston, Texas. And, he's eating cheeseburger wrappers in a ditch and was rescued as a puppy. And I try to take him everywhere. A lot of people know him. He's actually helped me. I always joke, close deals because he's come to a lot of demos with me. And I try to take him as many spots as I can. Super chill dog, and I was lucky to get him. So here he is. And a lot of folks, yes, I do post a lot of pictures of him, and he's a lot of times he's my sidekick for the day. So
yeah, he's awesome. So you're an entrepreneur now. You kind of worked for a number of companies along the way, and you jumped and took that leap. So tell us a little bit about, number one, why you did that, and number two, what does Cleartopia exactly do?
Sure. So summary wise, yes, I've worked in the hardware side, the software, satellite imaging collections. Last 20 years, made a lot of contacts. Served on the board the president of the ASPRS region a couple times out here, one time in 2010, and then in 21 during the pandemic. So I have all this knowledge, and it's, I can put together a lot of different solutions. So, I sat back, I was at Wings for over 4 years, and I said, it's time to try this out and, see if we can put together these solutions. So Cleartopia's number one focus is on the success of the customer. We focus on oil and gas customers, a lot of energy, surveying groups, service work, and then also government customers as well. So what Cleartopia actually does, so we look at the best in breed hardware solutions out there to basically do your mapping work, whether it be a quadcopter, fixed wing, even the smaller ones like Skydio as well. And then we also look at software training, as we train customers. Hey, how do you actually use the software to process your data? We have partnerships with the leading software groups for mapping data and inspection work as well. And then we also do some data acquisition. So that's some more of a long-term play with us, where we're focusing on, if you're a person that's a Dunkin' Donuts coffee drinker in Prescott, Arizona, you want to taste the same in Prescott as you do in Huntsville, Alabama. So there are some networks out there, but not specifically focused on the high-end mapping and repeatable workflows. And really, are those pilots certified to map, potentially with the wincher, with PPK, with ground control? So we're looking at long-term. We own some assets on the East Coast and out here as well. So primarily focused on right now is the hardware sales and actually building out that network, and then also the service work. And we do a lot of demos in the Denver region as well too. We do training. A lot of folks like to come to Denver to do some hiking for a couple of days, skiing, and then also we have some actually work meetings. So I encourage a lot of people to come to Denver, but it's all the focus is on the success of the customer. So we come in as that solutions consultant. So a lot of customers will come and say, hey, we're trying to build out our drone program. What kind of technology we look at. So we're agnostic, and we, be very honest and transparent to what's out there. So we're not particularly tied to one hardware or one software. It's all about what is the best tool for the job. So that's where we're really focused. We're very passionate on the customer. We really want to see them be successful.
Yeah, mapping is really nuanced. I agree with you. Just because you have a Part 107 license, which by the way I do, I couldn't go out there and map something. I've written articles about it. There's really specialized equipment, specialized knowledge on how, especially in some of these areas where people want to do mapping. I know in Colorado in particular, it's not just flat, right? They want to do things like near mountains and the challenges there. So that's really, I think, important to have kind of that niche and focus that you guys do in the geospatial area. And so you kind of alluded to it, Trent, but I want to be clear. What sectors do you primarily support? You mentioned oil and gas. What are kind of the other primary sectors that you're seeing that are benefiting from your mapping and GIS expertise?
No, great question. So I have a very, personal interest in the energy grids, utilities, oil and gas. It's all energy at the end of the day. And I always have a slogan, energy is the economy. Our way of life, our quality of life is based on how we, use our energy. And, I don't know about you, but I take a road trip. I like to be able to have a tank of gas, be able to drive or whatever, be able to have that energy. I like to have, a cold winter day, have that natural gas heat in my house. So I really see the energy space, whether it's wind, solar, oil and gas as well, can benefit from the drones, whether it be from, mapping as you're doing your as-built work, or, hey, I need to put in a 3,000 acre solar install that you need the map, need the area mapped as well, or just doing, even thermal inspections as well of solar panels, inspections of wind towers as well too. So we focus a lot on the energy space. And then I have a advisor, Gerald Curry as well, that he has a background in government. He works inside the Beltway and offers some government kind of expertise as well too. So, and then we're looking We hired a gentleman on the East Coast as well that's doing some support work and some inside sales. That's been working for us for a month or so, getting up to speed, has his Part 107 as well. And then we do have a joint venture where we'll be starting with two individuals here in the Denver area that they have a background in oil and gas as well. So one's going to be more the technical side, one will be operations. But the focus, like I said, will be the energy as a whole, solar, wind, oil and gas, all into one as energy, and those companies that do service work as well too, and then the government space, because those two groups, I would say, the energy and government, are the biggest user of UAS systems in the world.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Trent, I don't know that I saw you there maybe next year, but I went to Houston for the Energy Drone Robotics Coalition Summit, and that's a kind of that's that crowd, right? I mean, that's where they're going, and absolutely early adopters of advanced technologies. I've seen a lot of ground robots, obviously maritime underwater vehicles, depending on what they're looking at. But really unique platforms are coming out very specifically for that sector. And so maybe, that's a great segue to talk about the hardware that you're using and why you're using it. So kind of give us, a little bit of an overview of the technology that you're focused on with these verticals. And because this month is really all about setting up companies for program success. And like you said, a lot of these companies have that. So when you talk to them, what hardware are you seeing as kind of being the best fit for some of these operations?
Great questions. The biggest thing in this space is the reliability of the systems. If you drive 3 hours in out to northeastern, Wyoming, the last thing you want is the potential hardware failing. So we look at systems and I get feedback. Hey, what systems are folks using to see the most reliability? Because what you're after is that repeatable workflow to get great data, get the answers from your projects. So, for fixed wing VTOLs, we, very, very focused on Wingtra, of course, we see as the most reliable VTOL on the market. Very easy to use as well, great support. And at the end of the day, it's a variety of terrain from even small projects to large projects. We've done work with the Wingtra, up to potentially 3,500 acres a day. They have a new camera payload out as well, but it is a reliable system, easy to use, very easy to set up. So that's what folks are after. Even my 7-year-old knows how to flight plan on Wingtra Pilot. So of course,
I
she has to
know.
fly.
I think
Yep.
did you do a video of that with your son?
I might have, who knows, maybe a couple of years ago.
Well, and I have to say, you're right. Wingtra, it's just kind of like press a button that it's a VTOL, just flies up, and then boom, and it starts like autonomously mapping a certain area based on the grid that you programmed in there. And Trent, you've been to the Colorado UAS Roundup, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so they're having that towards the end of September this year. So shameless plug for our Colorado folks and anybody that wants to come to Colorado again. They do this thing out in Buena Vista, and they have
Beautiful area too.
right. They have the nation's only
Yep.
outdoor drone park, and they do demo day, and that's where I think I first saw the Wingtra demoed. In fact, you may have been involved in it, Trent, because it was early on when you were, I think, still working there. But super cool. And fun fact, I saw those guys at AUVSI, was it AUVSI? I forget where it was. They had a booth and they were doing the Wingtra dance. So they created a little dance based on how it like, the little test it does, and then the wings flap, and then it like goes, it's hilarious. So keep an eye out, everybody. If you haven't seen the Wingtra dance on TikTok, coming to you to social media soon, but really cool.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to the roundup show. Dennis Heap out there puts on a great show. So he's tirelessly working on getting the drone, they call it a drone park out there. And it's 120 miles from Denver. It's a beautiful area, collegiate peaks. It's great for testing, even, it's above 8,000 feet or so. So it's great for testing, your high altitude props and all that.
It is because you know what? And you know this, Trent, some platforms, they don't do so well in the high elevations. And I'm not going to mention the company, but last year, one of the companies, brought their drone from kind of far away across the country, and they're like, yeah, we can't fly. So, but that was a good data point for them, right? Like, wow, we may need to tweak something here. So Wingtra is one of the companies. Who are the other ones you're kind of focused on?
Yeah, so we also have a distributor reseller agreement also with Skydio. So I'm very excited about that partnership with them. We've done really well, focused on utilities and oil and gas. Anybody wants to come to Denver to see a Skydio demo, please, reach out to us. But Skydio, as an American drone company as well, created this, amazing AI software as well, 3D scan, which you can create. It's the best drone on the market for creating your, smaller to medium sized digital twins. And you look at it as this. The great coffee is the software they have, and the coffee mug is their drone. So they're doing some very exciting things, and we're providing feedback from customers and so forth. I see a variety of use case applications, but a great team with great energy. I really enjoy working with those folks, and we're going to some events here in the next couple months with them. And then also too, we look at some other groups. We're looking at strongly at LiDAR sensors. That's a different ball game. It's with different quadcopters as well too. So that's a challenge where you fly something 3,000 acres with a Wingtra. Then of course to fly something 3,000 acres with LiDAR, a lot of data, more batteries. It's a heavier payload. So we're kind of sitting back right now and looking at some of the systems that are out there. Then also too, a lot of them have to be certified by the government to be approved to fly. They have the blue UAS. Now it's the green that's coming as well. That, these sensitive areas, we won't get into geopolitics, but, hey, sometimes, if it's critical infrastructure, a certain drone needs to be used. So you have to keep that in mind as well, too. So, it's a great time to be in this industry. I think it's just the tip of the iceberg of what you can do, because I've even met, very intelligent people outside the industry. They ask what we do, and they sit back and say, I have some ideas, let me make some calls. Let's actually meet for coffee and talk about that, because there's applications that I don't even think we've thought about as well. So we primarily, like I said, focus on the mapping. We're looking at some inspection work as well too, but primarily focus on that repeatable workflow mapping to provide those solutions to customers as well. And then the whole ecosystem of getting the data out to different business units. A large oil and gas company like, say, Exxon, they may have 30 different players that want to look at that data in 6 different offices. So that's always a challenge as well, where the data is, it's a large amount of data. You collect, for example, 1,000 acres potentially. You're looking at, over 80 gigabytes of data. So if you're out in the middle of nowhere, how do you get that data up to the cloud? You have battery restrictions, moving the systems around as well too. And some of the network stuff that we're talking about, we're trying to streamline it all, almost like a Southwest Airlines where they only fly 737. So you stick with a certain type of UAS platform, have that repeatable workflow, really know it, work with the manufacturer as well too to provide that support. So
that said, Trent, maybe a bad analogy, because I think it was Southwest that had that horrible software glitch based on their legacy systems. This like Christmas, right? Or people are getting stranded right, left, and sideways. But look, let's face it. 737. That's the hardware, just like the drones you just talked about. At the end of the day, when you're talking about data, when you're talking about these, these are systems, and software matters, right? So you're also very much knee deep in the software. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So the software side of things, it's always about getting better data and being able to share that with decision makers. A lot of folks, upper management, C-level executives, they could care less about the drone that was used. We had a guy the other day that said, "Hey, I don't care where the data is coming from. It could be a flying poodle with 10 cameras on it. I just want that."
Now that I'd like to see.
To show my manager to say, "Hey, does this exist? Do we need to replace this?" So that's where they want to save. We hear this term a lot, that phrase in the industry, save time and money, which I hate that phrase, save time and money. It's about, hey, making things safe, reliable, and cost effective. It's not about being cheap.
Safety first, right?
Exactly. So the software side, there's a lot of AI that's popping up as well, which I think we have to be careful about, where, oh, you can just run your imagery through this platform and get all the answers. Well, we've seen, especially with our joint venture with a couple of folks, say, hey, there's still a lot of manual work that needs to be done for extracting information. So I think as that progresses, I think we're going to see some amazing results maybe in the next couple of years. But a lot of stuff's not ready for the market. A lot of folks, investors say, let's just get on the market. But you see a lot of manual, kind of semi-manual work in the background. So but it's exciting, to potentially extract things automatically. And I think the cloud usage is ever becoming, bigger than ever as well too. So, do you want to build your own, system in your office where you have 4 or 5 servers? That's a lot of money. So
Yeah.
that's something that the cloud, whether it be AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google, to let the cloud power do its heavy lifting and be able to process that data where everybody sleeps. You wake up in the morning, you have your results. And the challenge is there as well. That being able to get that information out to the people across the country as well. So, even emergency response, Pix4D has a great software called Pix4D React that you can go out and fly 80, 100 acres and have it processed in a few minutes and have decision ready imagery. If you get Wi-Fi connection, get that out to first responders if there's severe storms, tornado events, as well, hurricanes, and then also the progression, being able to fly over areas with people, which is it's kind of a slower progress. Is now it's something that keeping track of those regulations as you do. It's almost a full-time job. So that also too leads into remote ID that's coming up here next month. But
Yeah.
we're excited to be working with groups like Pix4D, Gnext as well. It's an American homegrown group out of Roanoke, Virginia. They're doing some really great things with their platform, all cloud-based as well too. So we're excited to have partnerships with those groups.
Very cool. Yeah, Pix4D, they've got an office in Denver too, and they keep evolving their products. I remember they have this thing with your phone that you can like take a picture and like 3D map things. So cool, so cool. So this is a picture I think of you with one of the Pix4D guys at a recent event. So yeah, those guys are very much part of that Denver GIS ecosystem to be sure. Yeah.
Exactly. So I always, anybody ever says, hey, where should I open an office? Hey, open it in Denver. So it's better for everybody here. So I always say, because every day you can meet with somebody different. It's an exciting landscape here as well too. So anybody, I say, hey, if you're involved in geospatial, open your office in Denver. Who doesn't like to ski and mountain bike and, climb mountains and all that? So we have great weather here too. So.
Yeah, totally, totally, totally. So, so wow. Okay, hardware, software, but you also provide training, and not just like mapping training. You provide a wide range of training. What I love about you, Trent, is that you are a leader. You've taken an interest in leadership in this industry. You've taken an interest in, kind of bolstering companies and building them in a way that other people can understand what they do. So tell us a little about the training that you offer.
Yeah, we'll start out with your typical UAS software hardware training. We have a partnership with the Drone U out of Fort Collins, so they do a variety of work, quadcopters. We've done some work with Wingtra as well. That they have a variety of customers that we can write custom curriculum for any type of UAS. We'll kind of teach them how to fly different systems as well, and then we Cleartopia ourselves, we do some custom training as well. We'll have folks come talk about software training and what do we always ask, what's your application? What are you trying to achieve with this data? It all goes back to the data. So we're always looking at new systems to look at to train, but we work with the Drone U to come out with custom programs as well. So it's been a great group to work with out of Fort Collins. And then I have I wouldn't say it's a special interest, but I've been doing sales for the last 20 years. And I first started in sales. I was probably more introverted, young guy out of college, and basically
What? Trent introverted? I don't see it.
out of necessity, I had to become an extrovert. But here's your sales quota, here's a laptop, and here are your customers. So I had some managers along the way that very hands off. I had a particular one at Eagle View that really, it really kind of stoked my passion and competitiveness, because I am a competitive person where if you have a sales quota, how are we going to go out and get those customers? What's your plan? So I really like working even with the younger folks where, hey, I'm struggling to make contacts. There's a variety of ways, whether you use LinkedIn, Apollo, Zoom Info to get information, because I think it's an art to the sale. There's no right way to do the sale as well. Everybody tries to do like a workflow potentially, especially on the engineering side, where humans, we're the most unpredictable species on the planet. So really get to know your customers, where they like to ski, where they vacation, get to know their kids, ask questions, because at the end of the day, especially after the pandemic,
Yeah.
we're yearning for those close connections, I think. And, we're human beings. We're never going to take that out of our DNA. So I really, we've done some private sales trainings. I've worked with individuals to really say, hey, get to know your customers, ask a million questions about what problems they're trying to solve. So we, believe it or not, we'll do some sales seminars. You were part of one in the fall. We did. I think it was that snowy first snow that hit Denver in November.
Yeah, that
That,
was super
that
fun.
excites.
Yeah,
It
Trent,
was.
I forget where I had come from, but I'd flown into the Denver airport. I wound up staying overnight because I knew your seminar was, oh, I know what it was. Fun fact, everybody, I was taping a PBS special that's going to air this fall on drones and eVTOL. And when was this thing? It was in January, right?
This was mid-November, the week before Thanksgiving, actually. Yeah.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I had been out to Archer in California for their big reveal of the Midnight aircraft, and I fly in, I stay overnight at the hotel because I think I got in at 1 in the morning, and I wake up and it's snowing, and I think it took me like an hour to get to your seminar that normally would have taken like 15, 20 minutes. Like, but honestly, so worth it. So worth it. Great seminar. And Pix4D was there, if I recall correctly, some of your other partners. And this idea of relationships. I mean, at the end of the day, whether you're talking about sales, marketing, anything you do in life, it's all about relationships. And you have built so many relationships. That room, I think, was a testament to your ability to do that. And there were some young people, as you mentioned, and I love the fact that you're sharing your knowledge and everything you've learned kind of the hard way, as you said, along the way with other people. So keep on it. Do you have any upcoming seminars, and how do people tap into those? Do you tape them? What can we expect on that?
Sure. We're probably going to do one this fall that's coming up, maybe in a different venue in the Denver area as well. So probably geared toward more, the person that's the brand new salesperson. How do I actually, here's my cell phone, here's my laptop. How do I start? So
Yeah.
think and use different tools and to build that up. So more of a basic one, I would say. I think the
Yeah.
one we did in November was focused on, kind of the enterprise level that, basically, sales is a bunch of stories that we tell, and we have different things that human beings were very complex. There's people that we don't get along with, we have to work with. I always like, um, Abraham Lincoln has a quote that says, I don't like that man. I don't know him very well. So I think at the end of the
There you
day,
go.
it's about getting to know people, and really sitting down and having those conversations one on one. And I've sat in cubicles with customers and taken notes and watched their workflows, and you can learn a lot. Just my mom always used to say, God gave you 2 ears and one mouth, so listen as much as you can and really understand what the customers are trying to do. And don't come in there. I call it, with commission breath. Trying to move on to the next account. We all have, every company's trying to be, profitable, and we all need to make a living. But I think it's building those relationships. I have friends now that started out, as customers that we go skiing now, or if they're ever in Denver, we always, grab a coffee or grab a beer. So that to me is very satisfying work, at the end of the day. So I always, we're going to be coming out probably with another side brand as well too. We won't talk about too much on the sales training side. So that's something that I'm just very passionate about. I try to pick up one sales book, every quarter. Some of them are great, some of them are not so great. So at the end of the day, it is all about the relationship with the customers, and building that and really understanding their pain points and their problems that you're going to solve.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's talk about some of your success stories, because I know you've got a lot of them. But as you kind of reflect back in this kind of GIS space mapping, is there one story that stands out that you're like super proud of, some kind of accomplishment or achievement?
That's a good question. There's been a variety of customers we work with over the years, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to Chevron to Exxon. We've done I've done some work. One of my probably most interesting projects was with Lockheed Martin. It's a public project now. It's called Shadow Harvest. Yeah, I was with a group called Aplanix. They were actually a subsidiary of Trimble, and I was responsible for selling military and rapid response aerial camera systems. It was called a DSS system at the time. It was a 439, fourth generation, 39 megapixel they're doing the direct georeferencing work. And this is the height of a lot of the Afghanistan.
Wow.
So what they were doing, they wanted to put aerial camera systems on the wings of C-130s. So, and then also run basically Ethernet cables from the wings and process the data in real time on board the C-130s. You can look it up. It's a C-1. It's called a Shadow Harvest program. And it's basically mapping for ISR work for work in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So there were some custom mounts that had to be done. And at the end of the day, the Aplanix and SOMAG teams got together and produced a phenomenal integration that it was probably an 18-month sales cycle with that. And then, Lockheed Martin came back and said, we'll take several systems. So that was something. I think I ended up taking a 10-day vacation after that because it was one account that I worked on. And it was actually with the Skunkworks program too. So I still keep the guy's cards on my desk that has a little Skunkworks that says, hey, I did some business with Skunkworks. I've been out to Palmdale and everything. So that was one of the most satisfying because I got to meet some pretty interesting folks at Lockheed as well too. And actually even one of the relatives of one of the Jimmy Doolittle. So that was something that was very work that we did. So that was, of course, this is 10, 12 years ago, I think. But, there's been some work where I've done, some remote island work and so forth, and got to go to some pretty interesting places. Got to go to Europe a lot as well, too. But, at the end of the day, it was, customers are doing some very interesting things with technology. So that was a really satisfying project to complete. And to this day, I'm still occasionally reach out to some of the engineers I work with at Lockheed, and that was, like I said, very, very satisfying work.
Very cool. So yeah, and obviously you're doing the mapping with the oil and gas, and you said government defense is part of that, just to kind of foot stomp that. By the way, just two quick points. Utkai Sharma is out there saying great conversation. So thank you for chiming in. I know y'all are out there and appreciate you guys watching today, and those that will watch in the future on demand. And for those that don't know about Jimmy Doolittle and never heard of him, he's a famous Air Force pilot. So that's really an understatement. The Doolittle Raiders, right? So really, really amazing. Check that out if you want to. If you're a history buff and you want to learn a little bit more about some amazing Air Force leaders, Trent had the opportunity to meet his grandson. That is so cool. So let's talk about what's next, because there's a lot of things, well, let's talk about what's new, right? Like, there's a lot of technology evolving in this space that you're using. And one thing we've seen in the inspection space are these kind of drone in the box solutions, a lot more autonomy. Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing there and what you're using.
Yeah, I'll bring up Skydio again. They have Skydio Dock that basically you can fly drones remotely. That's really going to allow the industry to scale the dock technology, where you need to inspect a transmission line or distribution area, whatever, one time per week, whether it be for vegetation management, fire suppression, and basically be able to run those systems. The laws are going to catch up to the work that's being done, but be able to run those systems potentially remotely from an office and send out, 15 systems at once to go inspect things. So that technology is here. And I first saw the Skydio Dock and seeing a Skydio personnel be able to launch a system sitting in Denver and launch that, launch it in the San Francisco kind of warehouse. That was pretty impressive. So I think
cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Trent, I actually saw the Skydio Dock in person at the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma at their Daisy Ranch.
Okay.
They were one of the first ones to have it out there. I think very, very soon after the launch. I believe the launch was like early December, right after your event in November. And then, it was really cool just to see the box open up, this thing fly out, right? It fly back. Really cool.
Yeah. I think we're going to see the progression of that. For example, we have remote ID coming up this fall where, people are going to know where you're flying these days because, even
September 16th, everybody, is I want to talk to you offline, by the way. I've got a couple drones that are basically now junk because I'm not going to be able to fly them anywhere except for in a FRIA if I could find one of those, in the Colorado Springs area. I mean, our space, you've seen our airspace, right, Trent? It's just like
complicated. Yes.
Yeah, and I live 10 minutes from the Air Force Academy, so yeah, that's good luck flying there.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue on. Remote ID is the next big thing for sure.
Yeah, I think it's good for the industry because I've seen a lot of call them cowboys out there that I still remember this story. I saw somebody show me data from downtown Little Rock. They flew with a system. And I'm like, how did you do that? Oh, we got a waiver, I think. He said. I said, are you sure about that? I said, you can't
What?
be. So there's a lot of that. It was a big company too. I won't mention the company's name, but I think it's great for regulation because there's still a lot of stigma of, we've all shown up on drone project. Hey, what are you flying today? What are you spying on me for? So there's a lot of that. And I think, we all need to follow the laws and make sure that, it's regulated because it's all good for us as well. So the, society gets more comfortable with.
Yeah, I think we
Yep.
might have just, there we go. I think you blipped out for a second there. But what I was going to say, Trent, I don't know if you're tracking, but Arkansas just toppled Oklahoma for the number one kind of drone ready state in that Mercatus report. We'll be talking about that next week on the full crew a little bit more, but Arkansas has climbed their way up and North Dakota's number three. So we'll be talking about that more. But yeah, wow, it's so much going on in the industry
Yeah,
from the regulatory and that's all based on laws and regulations, the criteria they use there, how
absolutely.
drone friendly is the state.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think those laws, they're going to catch up. But for example, if both of us took two wing trips to downtown Denver, we could map the city out in probably 2 days, which the
yeah,
city now pays, a fixed wing manned aircraft. Which I'm not dismissing that, but there are solutions in place. Whether it be, you're not going to fly uh, a whole county with a system, but we could probably map all of Denver in 2 days, better resolution, better accuracy as well, with potentially fractioning the hours to do it and have the data done with less than a week. So that's the future.
well, it
That
is. I'll tell you what, though, Trent, I think the biggest
yeah,
challenge is these city planners and having them understand, number
mhm,
one, the technologies out there, number two, what it can do, right? And number three, that they need to start using it in planning, for this integration. I think it was about 2 years ago, I got a call, and I don't even know how these people found me, but they're with the city of Denver, transportation department. They were like writing the kind of the plan, right, for the next 5, 10 years or whatever it is. And they called me to speak with them for like 30 minutes about drones. Like, and it's not in their plan. It's not in their, like they didn't even know like anything about it. So, but Denver is not the only city, right? Unfortunately, it's pretty widespread. You and I could probably tick off the cities that are kind of in the know, the cities doing things like Dallas, under the leadership of Ernest Huffman and the North Central Texas Council of Governments folks there.
mhm, yep.
Right. Just one example of so many, but it'll be interesting to see, how things progress, over the next couple of years. But speaking of which, what is next for your company? I mean, you've come so far. I mean, you've really just started this thing. You've already grown to like hire a couple people. You've rebranded.
Sure.
So like, what's coming next for Cleartopia?
Yeah, no, it's been almost, I guess, less than a year, but it's been a couple administrative hurdles that we've cleared. But I won't say it's been easy. So it's a lot of work. Two young boys as well, getting them to school and all that, and trying to balance it all out with work travel. So for us, the long term kind of play we're looking at is looking at this network kind of subscription as well. There's some networks out there, but we're going to do things differently. I won't go into detail too much, but you'll see some things that are going to be rolled out in the next couple months where
Okay.
basically, at the end of the day, I don't, and I always welcome these discussions. I don't see these big enterprise customers, the big behemoth companies that, they can't possibly own every drone that they need. So and especially we're focusing on the mapping side, that premium mapping, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that go into it. There's weather, hardware fails as well too. You have to have, I always say one is none, two is one, that you have to have backup systems, and there's a lot of moving of those parts and everything else. Drones are like smartphones too. A few years they're obsolete. So at the
Yeah.
end, and they are cheap. You have to put some investment. You have to keep them rolling. So what we're trying to do,
Yeah.
joint venture that we're creating, you guys will see this the next couple months, that really focus on the high end mapping. We're not focused on cheap and save money and cheap. We're going to create good data, and we have some things in place that we're working on. So at the end of the day, we're going to build out that Cleartopia network where, say, hey, if you need 75 flights a year, We have some players involved that we're working with that are very knowledgeable, outsiders as well too, to be able to pull this off. So that's what we're looking at. And also, when I'm, whether it be looking at using Skydios or Wingtras, we're selling those as well too. So if you want to be part of the network, we've sold you Wingtras, so you can be part of that. We can train you up on certain types of projects we need. So that's what we're kind of looking at. It's that annual recurring revenue as well too, if it's a subscription. So at the end of the day, you get great data. So I know the challenge is, the service work that we do now, a little bit of work we do, you price it out and then, you don't hear from them for like a month, and then they call you up on a Monday. Hey, can you be in Dallas Wednesday? Well, let me scramble to find somebody who has that particular type of system, because, and you want them to be able to know what they're doing as well too, because there's so many groups out there that there's an art to flying with PPK and ground control points and everything else. So any way you can potentially automate that as well, but there's still a lot of areas that, for laying like ground control points out that need stamped by a surveyor, which we don't do any surveying work. We'll contract that out, but there's a lot of art, and I've seen millions of projects, that, not millions, but lots of projects that go south because it was collected wrong, not enough ground control. There's this issue with the camera. So at the end of the day, we need to streamline that. So that's a long-term play with us, but you'll see some information on that in the next couple months that we're working with some groups working on back end as well too. So I'm pretty excited about that, because there's so many more and more projects. July, we always say, was kind of quiet. As soon as I came back from vacation, my phone's been ringing a lot. Hey, I need this project, that project. What do you about this system? So I think this fall, with the strange weather we had this spring, already see it. This fall is going to be really busy for the UAS mapping space, whether it be hardware sales or service work and everything else. So we're pretty excited about that. So and then for me, I don't mind travel and going to conferences and stuff, but I try to, work with companies and even 1099 pilots that can do that work for us and so forth. Because, you get tired. As you travel, you come back.
Man. I was in Baltimore last week. I'm in Alaska this week, and somebody called me like before, like about a couple weeks ago, like, do you want to come to DC for this counter UAS thing? I'm like, no, no. I'm really trying to only travel 1 week a month, which is even a lot, right? I did that towards the end of my federal civil service career. That's draining, but it's a great segue, Trent, to ask you, where might we find you next? Like, where might people see you in person if they don't come out to Denver to have a coffee or a beer and meet Bear, your dog, and fly some drones with you?
I always welcome people to come to Denver. I've been actually, for demos of our units, we actually offer right now through September 30th, one hotel room for a night and one airfare ticket. So if you want to come to Denver and see a demo, we have multiple fields that we can demo at down south here, one up north as well. So that's something where, we'll also throw in a dinner as well to come see us, talk about the industry. But we're going to be, I will be at the commercial UAV show in Las Vegas for at least a couple days. So that's probably the next
time.
Yep. Next time you'll see us. And then we're looking at a couple events in the fall as well too. So we're actually rebranding our trade show booth at this point. So that's something that we're looking at, some of those. And then also too, we'll be looking at doing some other seminars, I call them, kind of spend the day with Cleartopias in our co-working space. We'll probably do one of those in the fall as well, where it'll be focused on utilities, oil and gas folks that want to come and talk about data, talk about different platforms, Skydio, Wingtra, and so forth. So that's something. Yeah. So the closest one now is Las Vegas there after Labor Day.
Gotcha. Yeah. So much going on this fall, to be sure. And so much going on with Cleartopia. We are at the end of our time together. I knew it was going to fly, Trent, but just wanted to thank you, of course, and thank everybody out there. Thank Unmanned Safety Institute, of course, for sponsoring this month dedicated to building program success. And Trent, if people want to reach you, how do they find you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn all the time, so you can look me up. Trent, Trent, last name's Casi, Casi. Look me up on LinkedIn. Go to will be the cleartopia.com or .io will be probably up and running by the end of next week, but you can still go to Clear Sky Solutions right now and find us on there. So I'm always up for a coffee, grab a dinner, talk about the UAS and systems. So I really enjoy those conversations, how they're going to actually solve real world problems. So, and I'm really focused on the data side of things, analytics coming out of those systems, but also to evaluating the hardware. What are the best systems to collect that data?
Well, awesome. And thank you so much, Trent, for this time together. I really appreciate you. Best of luck as Cleartopia continues to grow under your leadership, and we will absolutely be in touch. In the meantime, everybody, we are out here.
All right.